Hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. We are on our part 2 tutorial on completing the square.
The first tutorial, the coefficient of x squared was equal to 1. So if you did not get an opportunity to check that out, I encourage you to look at that tutorial first. You should see the pop-up on the screen by now. Click it, look at that tutorial, and then head over to part 2, which is this one. All right.
Now I encourage you to like this video, subscribe, click that bell so you'll be always notified when I'm posting a YouTube tutorial. All right. Good luck. So what we have done so far, we spoke about the standard form of a quadratic equation. It's in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. We also looked at completing the square. Now, if the question doesn't just simply come out and say completing the square, they may tell you to write it in this form, which is the ax plus h squared plus k. All right. We also spoke about the turning point. A turning point could be a maximum or a minimum for a quadratic curve. And to find that turning point is minus hk. And also the y-intercept is c. From our standard form of the quadratic equation, ax squared plus bx plus c. C is the y-intercept, which basically means where the graph cuts the y-axis. We also spoke about where the graph cuts the x-axis. You know, so ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. When you factorize, or even after you complete the square and you solve, or even if you use your quadratic formula, once you solve your quadratic equation, the two values you get for x gives you the values where the curve cuts the x-axis. And we spoke about that in our previous tutorial. So if you look at this curve, this is a minimum curve. Now, when a is greater than 0 from our quadratic equation, when a is greater than 0, we get a minimum. When a is less than 0, you have a maximum point. So the first one, this one here, is a minimum point where a is greater than 0, and this one is less than 0, so you have a maximum point. Now, this is our question for today, our agenda. So let's get cracking. Question said to write 2x squared plus 5x minus 3 in the form of ax plus b squared plus c, which basically means to complete the square. All right. If we have, I'm going to write it here one time, 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. All right. Now the coefficient of x squared is not 1, it's 2. So what we have to do is make it equal to 1, right? Or get it to 1 now. So what we're going to do is divide the entire thing by 2. All right, so we're dividing this by 2, this by 2, and this by 2. So 2x squared has to be divided by 2. 5x has to be divided by 2. And minus 3 has to be divided by 2. Now the 2's cancel, you end up with x squared plus 5 over 2x. Take away 3 over 2. Now, since the coefficient of x squared is 1, we can now complete the square. All right, you put your x here to get back your x squared. The number that goes here is half of the coefficient of x. The coefficient of x is 5 over 2, so we are taking half of 5 over 2, which is 5 over 4. All right, half of 5 over 2, 1 by 5 is 5, and 2 2's are 4. So you get 5 over 4. You bring down what you had already, which is the minus 3 over 2. And you're subtracting the square of this number here. This number is 5 over 4, so you are subtracting the square of that number, right? So this leaves us with x plus 5 over 4 squared, and you can put all that in your calculator. Minus 49 over 16, right? Now, because we divided by 2, we have to remember to multiply back by 2. So what students tend to make in the question, the mistake students tend to make, the first thing, they don't know to divide by 2, right? They just go ahead and complete the square, but you must divide everything by 2. The second mistake students tend to make is when they are multiplying by 2, they multiply the things inside of the bracket by 2, but that's not accurate. You only multiplying, putting the 2 outside of the bracket like this. All right, and then you are multiplying whatever number you have here by 2. So it's minus 49 over 16 multiplied by 2. So that gives us minus 49 over 8. Now, if you were to multiply the things inside the bracket by 2, remember this entire bracket is being squared. You have to square the bracket first and then run the 2 throughout the bracket. But we don't want to expand the bracket because we want it in this form on top here. All right. So this is now in the form of a open bracket x plus h squared plus k. All right. Or in the form the question said, a open bracket x plus b squared plus c. All right. Part B now, hence or otherwise determine the minimum value of the function y equals to 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. Now the minimum value, as we said previously, is minus hk. So if the minimum value, I can fit it in right there because we have space, right? The minimum value, well, they actually told us it's a minimum, but if they didn't and we had to determine what the minimum value is, we're looking at the coefficient of x. Now the coefficient of x is greater than 0. So because it's greater than 0, the curve is shaped like this, which gives us a minimum. All right. Now the question said to find the minimum value of the function. Now the minimum value occurs at minus hk. All right. Now h is 5 over 4 and k is minus 49 over 8. Are you seeing that? H is 5 over 4 and k is minus 49 over 8. So therefore, well, first of all, the turning point is minus hk, which is equal to minus h will be minus 5 over 4, comma, minus 49 over 8. Right? So just to recap, the turning point is minus hk, which is minus h is 5 over 4, take away k is minus 49 over 8. So they said to determine the minimum value of the function y equal to this. And then part 2, the value of x for which the minimum occurs. So the value of the minimum function or the minimum value of the function, just imagine you have a curve, all right? And this point here is minus 5 over 4 minus 49 over 8, right? So in our previous tutorial, I mentioned to you that this is your x and this is your y value, right? So to find the minimum value of the curve is going to be our y value. It cannot go anything less than that. That's what I should say, right? So since this point here, right, you have your graph. The curve reaches here. After this point, it goes up. It doesn't go down again at any time. So this is the minimum. It cannot get less than this point, all right? And so they want the y value and the x value, right? So the x value is minus 5 over 4. So this answer here is minus 5 over 4, and the y value will be minus 49 over 8, right? So the answer for part 1 will be minus 49 over 8. Okay, if that's a bit confusing, just go back to the first tutorial where I went a little more in depth. Okay, now part C, find the values of x for which this is equal to 0. Right? So they want us to find the values of x for which our quadratic is equal to 0. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to simply take this, put it on the next slide and solve it. All right? So the question wants us to solve 2x squared plus 5x minus 3 equal to 0. So we have 2x squared plus 5x minus 3 equal to 0. And we just completed the square for this. And when we completed the square, we got 2x plus 5 over 4 squared, 2 open bracket, x plus 5 over 4 squared minus 49 over 8 is equal to 0. So remember, this is the quadratic equation. It's the same equation, we just wrote it in another form, but they are both the same. So when they say to solve this equal to 0, I can just simply take what I had after completing the square and equate it to 0 and solve. So we get 2 open bracket x plus 5 over 4 squared is equal to, when you bring this across, it becomes positive 49 over 8. And now we have x plus 5 over 4 is equal to, when you bring the 2, this is 2 is being multiplied. When it comes across, it becomes divide. So you end up with 49 over 8 divided by 2. All right. And you know how to work that out, right? 49 over 8 divided by 2 is 49 over 8 multiplied by 1 over 2, which gives us 49 over 16. 49 by 1 is 49, 8 by 2 is 16. So we have x plus 5 over 4 squared is equal to 49 over 16. And now we bring across our squared sign. So this is squared. When it goes across, it becomes square root. So you get x plus 5 over 4 is equal to the square root of 49 over 16. And remember, when you're finding the square root, the answer could be plus or minus, because I mean, the square root of 4 is 2, or it could also be minus 2, because 2 times 2 is 4, and minus 2 by minus 2 is also 4. So this gives us x plus 5 over 4 is equal to plus or minus square root of 49 is 7, and the square root of 16 is 4. So this leaves us with either x plus 5 over 4 equal to the positive answer, or x plus 5 over 4 equals to the negative answer. So we have x plus 5 over 4 is equal to 7 over 4, or x plus 5 over 4 is equal to negative 7 over 4. So x is equal to 7 over 4, take away 5 over 4, which is 2 over 4, right? And this one now, x is equal to minus 7 over 4, take away 5 over 4, which is minus 12 over 4. This could be reduced to be minus 3, and as well as this could simplify to a half. All right, so when they want us to solve it, our answers are x is equal to a half, or x is equal to minus 3. An alternative method, which should have given us the same answer, could be 2x squared plus 5x minus 3 equals to 0, right? The traditional way, meaning the way most people work it out, you can factorize 2x by x gives you the 2x squared, but by what gives 3 when added or subtracted gives 5. 3 times 1 is 3, so we have 1x and 6x. We're trying to get 5x, so 6x. Take away 1x gives the 5x, and minus 1 by 3 gives the minus 3. I'll do a tutorial on factorization soon for you. So either the first bracket equals 0, 2x minus 1, or the second bracket equals 0, x plus 3. All right, so 2x is equal to 1, x is equal to a half, or x is equal to minus 3. So a half and minus 3 is the same thing we got here. X is a half, x is minus 3. All right, now remember, these are the roots of the equation. Once you have a quadratic equated to 0, you solve for your answers, you get your two values of x, those are the roots, meaning that is where the curve cuts the x-axis. All right, moving on, what they ask is to sketch the graph. And when you sketch the graph, they want us to show them the minimum points, which we calculated. The minimum point was this, the y-intercept. Well, we know the y-intercept, we're getting it from our c value on the top here of the question, ax squared plus bx plus c, and also where the graph cuts the x-axis, we just worked it out. All right, so let's put everything together in one go so we can do it very clearly. So we know that it's a minimum, so we know how it shapes, and we worked out the minimum to be minus 5 over 4 minus 49 over 8. So it's minus 5 over 4, comma, minus 49 over 8. What else? They wanted us to show the y-intercept, right? Remember, the y-intercept is this here, the value of c, which is minus 3. So we know the y-intercept, I'm just going to put c is minus 3. So we have the minimum, the y-intercept, and then the roots of the equation, which is where it cuts the x-axis. We worked it out to be a half and minus 3. A half and minus 3. Let's just make sure we included everything the question said. So the minimum, the y-intercept, awesome. Right, so now we could attempt to sketch our graph. All right, so let's draw. This is our y-axis. This is our x-axis. Let's pretend that line was straight, because I'm not gonna do it over. Right, okay, so let me see. So the minimum is minus 5 over 4 minus 49 over 8. C is minus 3, so let's just put C first, you know. So let's see, this is minus 1, minus 2, minus 3 on the y-axis. So the graph cuts here, right? Right, so the graph cuts at this point here. Hope you're seeing that dot, right? So that's the point -3 where it cuts the y-axis. The roots are half and -3. So let's put the half about here. Right now it's not drawn to scale, people. Let's put our -3 there. And the minimum now is -5/4 on the x and -49 on 8 on the y. So -5/4 on the x. So let's say that's probably here. Right, let's say that's -5/4 and -49/8 on the y-axis. Let's say that's probably somewhere down here. Trying to put the dots right. Right, so this is our minimum, right? Not drawn to scale. And then it cuts the y-axis at -3. And then it cuts the x-axis at 1/2, right? You're going to draw that neat in your books. And then the curve now cuts the x-axis again at the -3, all right? And that basically is your sketch, right? Now, when you do the sketch, it's good to highlight the points, all right? So this point here would be 1/2 on the x, 0 on the y. This point here is -3 on the x, 0 on the y. This point here is 0 on the x, -3 on the y. And this point here, right, is -5/4 and -49/8. Remember, it's not drawn to scale, it's a sketch. All right. Now, the last part of the question, I believe they asked us to find the axis of symmetry. All right. Do you all remember the formula? Formula for the axis of symmetry. Remember, the axis of symmetry basically is where the curve is symmetrical, right? So x is equal to -b on 2a. Our quadratic curve started off with 2x squared plus 5x minus 3, right? So we had 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. All right, so it's in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. So a is equal to 2. B is equal to +5. And c is equal to -3. So therefore, minus b, if b is 5, minus b is going to be -5, right? So minus b is -5 over 2, a is 2, right? A is 2. So that's -5/4. So that's our answer. Our axis of symmetry, x is equal to -5/4. Thank you so much for tuning into this tutorial. I love you guys. Thank you for your love and support. I am so happy and I do hope to see you in the next tutorial. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns with math and you want to do a tutorial on a particular topic, just put it in the comments. I'm going to try my utmost best to satisfy each and every one of you on my YouTube channel. All right? So bye for now.